fun to be with them. And then I moved to Dubai, where I didn't work, like I didn't have a job. So I started to give cooking demonstrations to make friends. And that really helped because people who came were generally interested in food, and we would go out into the market and find things, and it was just fun. And then when I came to Canada, I thought, okay, it worked for me in Dubai, so I'll try the same thing in Canada. But here it was different because the people who had the money were working and didn't have the time. And the people who didn't work didn't have the money that they wanted to spare to come and, just attend a cooking class. So it became very difficult. And then every single day, there would be somebody or the other who would phone me who had attended a class and say, oh, how do I do this? I'm trying to do this. Can you help me do this? And then just at that time in 2013, um, people are writing food blogs, and I thought to myself, this is nice. Like, let me try my hand at it. So I did. And then that sort of inspired me. And every time I remember, if I would get a few hits, I would say, oh my God, 3 people saw it today. And it all just gets you excited and going. And then one thing leads to another, and then I met this lady who said, "Why don't you write a Parsi cookbook?" And then I just sort of got that into my head, and I did it. So once I did it, I felt that there were people interested in knowing more, and that made me learn more and read more and ask more, and everything. So it was just not very planned out, but it just sort of something I really, really appreciate that I have, and I'm happy that I have it also. And of course, it makes me feel. I know it sounds ridiculous to people who don't like to cook, but when I cook, I feel it's therapeutic. And for me, that's the main thing. Most days. I mean, I might have a day I don't feel like cooking, but it's not really the cooking, it's the cleaning that gets you kind of, oh, I don't feel like doing it. But it just gives me a sort of a high if you know, something that you're passionate about, it gives you a high.
Nice, nice. So since the holidays are coming up and I'm sure we're all going to visit our families and probably cooking a lot, could you share some famous recipes that would be great for this season?
Yeah, so basically, instead of Parsi food, let's talk about foods that have the flavor, but you can kind of transform into um making it very Christmassy or holiday type of food, a little bit of fusion. For instance, when you have uh, your flavor palette in your mind, you can put together anything. So the picture that you all are seeing is something I created a little while ago, and it was just because I liked the flavors. And then it was for a party and everybody appreciated it, and then I wrote it down, and it really turned into this favorite salad, and then it's gone into the book. So basically, it was yogurt, and then you take very thick yogurt, or you take labne, which is already thick yogurt, and you put it in the base, and then you layer it. So this is just roasted eggplants, which I love, and chickpeas, and fried onions, roasted red peppers. And the fun part of it is to make this vinaigrette with mint and pomegranate molasses or pomegranate preserves, and you put a little bit of roasted garlic to bring it all out. And then I also learned that chickpeas have no taste on their own. So in a salad, it's very hard to dress every single chickpea. So you make the vinaigrette, and the day before, you dunk all the chickpeas into it. So you have a better chance of every single chickpea being sort of coated with a little bit of flavor. And it's something that it's simple to make, and you can keep it from the beginning. You can make your eggplants literally a week before and keep it in the fridge with a little olive oil. You can make your vinaigrette and keep everything ready 3 days ahead. The roasted red pepper comes from a bottle. Fried onions gives it a nice finish. Sumac gives it a nice finish. But it's the mint and the pomegranate that are the key to make it really tasty. So it looks Christmassy. It has a flavor palette that we are used to. It's not at all bland. You can add or subtract what you don't have, or have in the fridge. And I think it would be fun. I think everybody likes a good salad. The word salad is not just leaves anymore, it's everything. So that it's in the new book as well.
Right. And you mentioned flavors like pomegranate and sumac, and those are very Persian flavors. And you mentioned that you focus on Parsi cooking. So could you talk a bit about how different cultures go into your final dish?
Yeah. So basically, you have to imagine that ancient Persia was wide and it stretched miles and miles and miles, right? So it was not just one blob. It just covered such over a period of time, it covered so many regions. And everything that grew in the region became a part of that cuisine. So we have so many intertwined, like Turkish and Syrian and Lebanese and Iraqi and everything, that we use the same kind of base form. So Parsi food is neither Persian nor Indian. It has its own distinct flavors and tastes, and you can say that it is different. But having said that, how we mix it up. So let's talk about a rice. You have the slide to that. We are talking about a palau. So
Yes.
it's got quinoa in it, and now we've got the rice with a little bit of saffron in it, and you can change this in so many ways. You can give it a complete Parsi flavor if you want. You can give it a Persian flavor by giving it adviye and whatever's in this recipe. This is the Persian flavor. You can give it a Lebanese flavor by just changing what they have, their own garam masala type of thing. So their spices slightly different from the adviye. So you can make the keema with whatever you like best, or whatever flavors you want, as spicy or non-spicy as you want. The rice base is basically uh, a little bit of boiled rice, which has been flavored again with maybe a bay leaf, some saffron, whatever boiled rice you make, and then you sort of toss all of this in. So you toss the keema into the rice, and then you can make it up with barberries or pomegranate. So Zarish berries are delicious because they are tart and they just are like little jewels in your food. You can layer it with parsley or mint, whatever you prefer. You can layer it with dhania if you prefer. So any kind of herb, dill. You can add nuts if you like. Uh, Mostly, if it's Persian, then you would add either walnut or pistachio. Pistachio goes better with rice. Or if you could put almonds, cashews if you want it Indian, whatever you want. The other thing that I did was to put a full spatchcock chicken, which was marinated in um, the juje kebab marination, which is basically an olive oil with saffron and lemon juice and salt. And you just dunk your chicken in that for 24 hours and then you cook it. So if you didn't want to put a full spatchcock, you could even do the same type of rice with all the berries and all the nuts and all the herbs with chunks of chicken. You don't like keema, that's fine. If you want to go crazy, then you do both the keema and then you put pieces of chicken on it or lamb shawarma on it or whatever you want. So it makes it all very special and uh, it can look very Christmassy if you put the green and the red on top. And it just gives you such a lovely feeling that you have something special. And serving it on a platter is always fun. It doesn't have to be silver if you don't have the silver. But if you have a big platter of some kind, it just makes it fun. I also very often use the thali, the thalis that they use for jashan. So I use it for serving rice. It looks so amazing. And it's there to be used, so why not?
So, that actually sounds really, really yummy, and I'd love for you to make it sometime when I'm in
Sure,
Toronto.
sure.
Um, but do you have another dish, perhaps with fish? Um, I love fish, so I'm wondering if you have any other dishes.
Yeah, there are two I can think of. One is so this is a Parsi style baked fish, right? So baked fish, now talk about baked fish. So for a Parsi who grew up in Pakistan and India, bake is like a word that has white sauce and anything in it. And then you shove it in the oven and you call it a bake. I don't know why, but I think it's from the colonial times that we all spoke like that, or we just heard our parents speak like that. And now we have a good laugh because it doesn't really sound right. But everybody around in that area, when you spoke of a bake, meant that it had some Western thing to it, and that Western thing was just white sauce. And when you think about it, white sauce is also kind of racial. It's it's not supposed to be white sauce because the white people eat it. It's white sauce because it's white. And that used to be very, very common to have the white sauce with something Parsi in it. And this particular recipe, which has a few of our flavors. So you poach the fish in a gravy that has tomato, onion, green chili, and dhania, coriander, and you make that little broth. So you poach the fish, and originally, remember, you put the head and the skin and the bones in it to give you the flavor. You can have the fillet as well, so that it's easier for you to break. So you boil whatever you want first, and then you add the fish at the end because you don't want it overcooked. And then you remove it. And then you flake it and you add it into the white sauce. However, when you are making the white sauce, you must add the poaching liquid. Otherwise, the flavor doesn't come. You don't want it bland. It's not spicy, but it's got a lot of flavor. And just by adding the little bit of chopped tomato and uh, coriander on top, it makes it look so Christmassy. So you bake the vol-au-vents, you get them frozen, uncooked frozen ones. You also get ready made ones in certain parts of the world. I'm sure America has it. And Pepperidge Farm has a lot of choice in the States, Tenderflake in Canada. And you bake them and then you remove the tops and then you fill it up. You can re-put the top if you want, but if don't throw it away. Nothing should be thrown away. So otherwise you collect all the tops in a Ziploc and throw them in the freezer, and then you can use them next time for something that you bake and you need to put a crust on the top. Also, this particular dish can be just made like I told you, without the vol au vent, and you put it in a Pyrex dish and put it in the oven. If you want it a little souffle type, you can beat, like really whip the eggs and the egg whites and fold it in and then bake it. And then that will sort of give it a little more souffle type of feeling. And also, this is the same recipe that we put in fish baskets. Have any of you ever eaten fish baskets? It's a very thing of the past. No.
No.
There's this crispy little baskets that used to be made with a beer batter like a tempura, but you actually had a basket, a metal basket, and you dipped it uh, into the batter. The batter would stick, and then the whole basket would be dunked into hot oil, and that would crisp up, and then you. It was very tedious and very messy, and uh, one would buy it from people who used to sell the baskets. So it was just like a filler, right? So you just use that as the crispiness from the outside and then you put it in. Okay, so what's a Parsi snack? So for the Christmassy thing, if we are still talking about the Christmassy thing, I made a kanap or a snack, cucumber, a nice thick slice of cucumber, uh, and you put your green chutney if you have any green chutney sitting around, and then you pan fry some shrimp, prawns, and then you put one on that, and then you can sprinkle that with red chili pepper or paprika if you don't like it very hot, or with sumac if you prefer, a little bit of lemon juice while you're cooking the prawn. It tastes delicious because then you have that crunch, you have the very strong chutney, coming through the green chutney, and then the prawn. It tastes really good. And it was easy to make. And again, it looked very Christmassy. I wish I had shared a slide with you before, but it's on my Instagram if you guys want to see it on Niloufer's Kitchen. But a Parsi snack, I think, is bhel puri. I don't think it's really Parsi, it's Gujarati, but that's something that we like to snack on more than anything else. But mostly our snacks are made for tea time. Like we generally have tea time snacks like chapat. Have you eaten chapat? So the chapat is like a coconut pancake, and it has a bit of nuts, and it has charoli, it has saffron if you want. You can put whatever you want in it, but basically the difference between a pancake and a chapat is that chapats are made out of coconut milk and a little bit of milk, and they are really really delicious, and they are not supposed to be very thin, not as thick as American pancakes, but fairly thick. So you make a big one and then you can cut it into quarters and eat it or whatever. And if it's hard for you to turn it around, you just put a lid on it and allow it to cook through.
Very interesting. Okay, do we have any other questions? I know we briefly suggested that there might be a special recipe released. So I think you guys had a chance to see it. It was the keema recipe. Hopefully you were paying attention. If you weren't paying attention, shame on you. But it will also be on Niloufer's blog. So we highly encourage you to go visit that. If it's not released, if it hasn't been just released, then it will be released soon on the blog. So we highly encourage you to go check out the blog. It has a few million viewers now. So she mentioned that it started with 3. It's grown quite a bit, so it must be good. No, it is good. It is good. So yeah, if y'all have any other questions, by all means type them in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself.
Mahtab, do you want to drop the blog link in the chat?
Sure, I can.
No, Frandy, I have a question. So, so right now I'm a college student living in a dorm. What are some like easy Parsi dishes to make with like an electric pot?
Yeah, electric pot meaning a slow cooker, like Instapot.
No, like a frying pan, but electric.
But why is it electric?
Because we don't have like a stove in our
Yes.
dorm.
Okay, okay, okay. All right. Got it. So would it cook chicken?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, okay. So I think the easiest thing to make is papeto margi, because even if you don't have to fry the onions, you get onions now ready in a packet, right? And although you shouldn't be using those onions which have flour if you want to make something like a patio because it will become all sticky and gooey, but stuff like ras chawal and papeto margi and all, which have a lot of gravy, it's fine to use it because it's just as a thickener, right? And these sort of things, even if you just literally dump everything into the pot, cover it and allow it to cook, it just cooks through. So this Margi Puppetto is the simplest thing that most people in schools and colleges tend to cook like forever. And it's just pieces of chicken, pieces of potatoes, and you put garlic, ginger, green chili, cumin, and what is onion, and then water. And you can add turmeric if you have it, red chili if you have it. It's very, very forgiving. So at the end of the day, oh yeah, salt, of course. And then even if it's cooked and there's a lot of water left, either you mash a potato into it to thicken it, or you allow it to just cook it a little more. But normally, for 8 pieces of chicken and 8 pieces of potato, like not 8 potatoes, but 8 pieces of potato, you would need about 1.5 cups of water, and it will be more than enough. 1 to 1.5 cups of water, and it would be more than enough. And there's not no real need to put tomato or anything in it. It's just whole garam masala. If you like the taste of cinnamon, clove, pepper, and cardamom, do that. It depends on how much you have in the dorm. It really does. But you don't even need all the extra flavoring. Just the very basic is great and it comes out fine and it's very quick. The other thing that I would suggest if you guys like eating eggs is papeta paidu. I don't think there's anything simpler and tastier than potatoes because they cook quickly, they don't make a splashy mess, they don't do anything. So you just peel the potatoes, cut slices like just flat discs. Don't make them very thick. Cut them as thin as you can and layer it in your fry pan. Sprinkle it with salt. Sprinkle it with the fried onion. If you have green chilies, you don't want to cut it, just slit them and throw them in to enough. And you cook it. There's no water, just a little bit of oil, and once it's cooked, drop in 2 eggs, cover it again, it's done. And it's healthy. The egg gives you the protein. It's cheap. Potatoes are cheap, and is literally better than anything you can eat junk food wise, right?
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Thank you so much.
The
Same thing
first,
with dal, you make a lot of dal, and then that's always perfect, and then just put it into the freezer and then you eat dal with a piece of chicken, a piece of fish, piece of anything. It just works.
the
I'll send
first,
you a picture if I make it.
oh, mail some over if you make it.
Oh, for sure. For sure.
We have another question. What is the one dessert you love and make the most?
Dessert. I don't think I make it the most anymore because people in my home don't seem to love it. But my favorite is caramel custard.
Mm.
I just love caramel custard. Yeah.
I think someone shared a file in the chat.
Oh, how do I see that? I don't know what it is.
Oh, Anahi's asked, is it like a tart?
Oh, Pari, that was just me responding to
Oh,
Anais with a picture of the fish tart, or the fish basket.
Okay,
Oh,
that
fish
is trying to picture if
basket.
it.
Okay, okay, yeah, yeah.
Thank you. Do you have any other questions?
So, what do you all generally cook in the dorm?
I'm trying to think. We've actually cooked some interesting things in our dorm. We've cooked a baked potato in a microwave. We've cooked, um, we cook a lot of ramen, like a lot of ramen. We cook rice. We cooked spam fried rice once. Um, we've cooked, oh, pancakes. We have like every Sunday my dorm does uh like morning pancakes.
So, if it's pancakes, then you guys should do the chapat and see if they
Oh
like the
yeah.
flavor.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that would introduce them to the right kind of, they'll find it interesting, something different. And I know it's very hard to use nuts in public places, but if your friends are not allergic, then you should use it. If they are, then just avoid it. It's for the crunch. Actually, it doesn't add flavor, it just adds texture.
Yeah.
So somebody wrote something very interesting, wafer paridu. So that's even easier. You take a packet of wafer and you just dump it in, yes, or sali, or even when we go out and you have fries, buy an extra packet of fries and just put that, and then you can heat it up properly. Okay, so whenever you make anything per edu, if you don't want the edu to sink, you make the base hot and then you break the egg, especially if you're making a whole egg or a fetelaida. Because if you don't, it's just going to go straight down. But if it's hot on contact, it will start cooking. So it seals it and then the top part will be whole. So sali paridu and the wafer paridu is the easier way out of papeta paridu. But again, that means you are using some form of processed food.
That's okay. I'm actually really happy you mentioned the part about nuts not actually adding flavor to the dish because I'm allergic to nuts, deathly allergic to nuts. So I'm always the one that says, oh, can we have this without nuts? But it's good to know that it doesn't actually do anything. So I'm not missing out on much.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. I mean, pistachios might add that little bit of sweetness if you want, right? Nuts have a natural sweetness, but the chapat without the nut will be fine, right? So you can get the same texture from a seed or from a chestnut. Chestnut is not a nut. So things like that, because I have a niece who's allergic to nuts, and they can use chestnuts and they can use sunflower seeds and stuff like that. So instead, when I make a badami chicken, they would use that.
Got it.
The other very easy thing to make is this badami chicken. Again, you can use whatever you want instead of it. The badami chicken has a very lovely story that years and years and years ago, 101 almonds were counted and put in and crushed and cooked in yogurt. So the whole dish is cooked and then yogurt mixed with nuts to thicken it is mixed in afterwards when it's tepid warm. And once it incorporates, then you can reheat it and it's fine. So you can make it with chicken, or you can make it with meat. But I've noticed that in America, more people eat chicken and very few people eat mutton, goat, lamb. It's like either beef or chicken. So most of our food doesn't have beef. We didn't have beef till we moved away from India. So uh, somehow people tend to stick to chicken.
Great. Anything else? Anybody else have any other questions?
What about rice? Like, how do you all cook rice? Is it easy for you to make it? Do you all make jingani khichdi or something khichdi, which is like a comfort food which you can, uh, just take in a bowl and eat with or without yogurt or whatever? That's a very comforting food to eat.
Yeah,
Fried rice. I also love fried rice, but fried rice needs something with it sometimes. The khichdi is self-sufficient.
yeah, we put soy sauce in our rice, but the way we make rice is like we so you're actually gonna get very mad because there's this like market we go to and there's like rice that's already cooked and we just micro it for like a minute. So like it's not like it's definitely has like a bunch of stuff in it, but it
It works.
we
It does the
it
job.
works. It works. So
Yeah,
it does the
vegetable
job.
palav is also a
We
good
make
good
noodles, so
flavor. Vegetable palav gives you a very good flavor. And we eat vegetable palav with a curry, and you don't even have to have chicken or anything in the curry. You can even have a potato egg curry, which is tasty anyways. But uh, yeah, these sort of things go a long way. 2, 3, 4 days you can eat it. Uh, and it's healthy enough with all the veggies thrown in or whatever. So, besides this, do you guys want to tell me what you all are going to make safe for the holidays? What is somebody planning to make for the holiday?
Well, I'm not planning on making it, but I plan on asking my mom to make dansak for me before I go to college. Homiar had a question, a very interesting question, I might add. What's the one dish that you do not like, or multiple dishes,
Um,
or people who cook dishes? You can drop names if you'd like.
I'm not sure. Like from Parsi food, I'm going to say I quite like everything. I can't really think of something that I don't like, but I'm not one to eat raw food. I can't eat steak tartare or something like that. I just feel I would be sick. It's not because I won't like the taste, it's just in my mind that I would be sick. Uh, so I can't.
So no
So
sushi.
no, I don't like the idea of eating I mean, I love Japanese food, don't get me wrong, but no, I can't eat raw fish. It has to be at least torched. I can't. I don't know why, it's mental, but I can't. But definitely I would eat fish that has been torched, but I won't eat half raw meat. Though I eat steak, which is medium or whatever. But the idea of having, the raw steak tartare with a raw egg on it, that I can't. I just think it's weird and gross.
Mhm. So another question we had is badam chicken similar to kid ghost's base?
Not at all. Badami chicken is brown, kid roast is white. And kid roast you have to make from goat or lamb. You can't make it with chicken.
Oh, okay. The reason I asked is because I don't like the ghost flavor. That's why I was like, oh, can it be made with chicken? But okay, I guess not.
No, but then it's not kid roast. Kid means a baby goat.
Oh, but the base is totally different. Like one's cashew and one's badam.
Yeah, it's completely different. It's
Oh,
completely
okay.
the flavorings are different. Like when you taste it, the flavorings are different. I think my preference would be badami chicken and also easier to cook. But kid roast is a specialty and it's like even served in the wedding functions at some point if they are running out of 9 courses that comes up.
Okay. And with that, if nobody has any other questions, oh, we do have a question. Yes.
Sorry, I was about to do it earlier, but no, thank you so much for this talk, first of all. This is lovely. I do have friends who are interested in making more vegetarian dishes. Is there a vegetarian dish that you would recommend to make over the holidays?
Let me think. Vegetarian, like Parsi flavored, right?
Yeah.
Well, the best one that you can think of is Parsi stew, at least for me. I know that it also has a lot of work in it, but if you are making it like as a group of people or friends or whatever, it would be a lot of fun because people use bags of frozen vegetables. I don't recommend it because it's harder to dry them because you've frozen them. When you defrost them, there's water in it. So, first of all, to make it work for you, you have to dry them. So, either you have to put it on a tea towel or kitchen paper overnight for all the water to come out. And in the morning, when you see if the water is still not gone, you'll have to change the paper towel. I mean, it's just takes so much longer as well. So may as well go and buy fresh vegetables.
Mm-hmm.
The key is that you have to cut them in the exact same size so that everything cooks evenly, right? Not for appearances, but it's just the way it is. Now, originally, Parsi stew was made out of only root vegetables. Now we cook it with whatever we want. There definitely wasn't any corn, but because the bag contains corn, everybody in North America will have corn in it, you know.
Of
There was
course, of
definitely
course.
no corn in it. Uh, However, that doesn't matter whether you put corn or you don't put corn. But what I generally do is I'll dice everything and I layer it in a cookie sheet on a parchment. So you put the cookie sheet, then you put the parchment, then you grease the parchment with a little bit of oil. And then you layer it in such a way that, so supposing it's potatoes and sweet potatoes, which is the two root vegetables that you do use, and then of course carrots, which is also root vegetable. And then you toss that and put that in the oven because that takes the longest to cook. And then you add whatever halfway through on top, just keep piling it on top. So I like to put eggplant because in this part of the world, eggplants are not bitter. In India and Pakistan, they used to be bitter. You had to cut them and slice them and leave them in salted water and change the water and throw that away, and it had to be in season and all that. Here, it's not like that. Mostly, eggplants are very sweet and creamy, so it's fine. So you use that. You use green peas. That is the only one thing that you can use from the freezer if you want. And then what I do to give it the authentic flavor, because every single thing was originally fried separately before it was
Okay.
added. So you take a big skillet and you put it on high add a very little drop of oil in it, and then you just start putting it in spoonfuls. So every bit of the vegetable should touch every part of the bottom of the pan. So very little at a time. And it takes 2 minutes for each thing. So it's got that little bit of fried feeling to it. You'll see little crispy edges on stuff. And then you keep removing it and you keep doing it till you've finished all of it. And the base, which is the tomato and all the spices and whatever goes into it, is separately made. So now don't assume that this is enough for this. You just pour as much of the gravy onto all your vegetables as you need it, and then just enough coating, not sort of floating in it. And then you taste it for sweet and sour, and that's it. And the one thing I
Wow.
will tell you is I was very, very against using fruit in my food. Like it used to drive me crazy when people would say, "Oh, let's put jardalu in it." And I would go, "Oh my God, no, no, you know." But I am honestly telling you, without giving it a chance, don't say that. You only need a handful, but the gravy gets a glossiness and a flavor from the jardalu that nothing in this world will give you. That authentic taste comes from the jardalu. And I'm not talking about the orange apricot that you get in the supermarket. I'm only talking about the kobani, which is the very pale, beigey, goldy colored thing, which is hard.
Oh, okay.
Only that. If you don't get that, forget it. Don't put the other one. It's got a fiber in it. It's got a sweetness in it. It's got a tartness in it. And that breaks down when you're cooking and makes it yummy. It gives you that gloss and the thickness that the gravy cannot have without.
That's so amazing. Thank you so much. I was actually like almost like tasting it as you were talking. So that was really great. Thank you.
And this I'm just saying because we once had a class during Zoom during COVID, and we were doing Jardaluma Margi. So actually, I said, okay, it's Sali Margi, and then it's the same thing. And then I said, should we put the apricots in or we shouldn't? And everybody said, oh, no, no, yeah. They weren't even going to eat it, but they were all going freaking out. And I said, okay, let's put it in 2 pans. So we halved it and we put it in 2 pans, and I put the jardalu in one and I didn't in the other. And then we let it cook, and then we opened the pan just to see the difference. So one was like watery gravy, nothing, I mean, it's not bad to taste, but it's just so watery. And the other one was just so, so glossy and beautifully done that everybody said, okay, okay, like it was fun. So I mean, that's what you learn while you are cooking, that you don't look down on anything or disregard anything without tasting it. Everybody doesn't have to like everything, but like when you're cooking, give it a go.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Okay, and with that, I think the session's gonna come to a wrap.
Yeah.
Thank you everyone for joining us and supporting ZYNA, and I really appreciate my partner Mata for being my partner and Niloufer for being our guest today. So thank you so much for coming, everyone.
Thank you for having me, and I look forward to seeing everybody in Houston. If I may not know your
Is she frozen?
Yes.
and
Okay.
meet me. Be
Perfect.
bolo.
नहीं tama bolo.
No, so I was just saying that members of ZYNA, I was telling Mahtab and Pari the other day that if you guys want a book and you are part of the ZYNA, tell Mahtab or Pari, and it's $29.99 for this book, but for ZYNA, we'll give it to you for 25. So you just have to put in your name with her. And then you can either collect it in Houston, we can send it to California, whatever you all want, wherever you are, we'll figure that one out because people are coming to the Congress. So just do it before the 31st of December and you all can have it for 25.
Okay, thank you.
Okay.
Have a good night, everybody. Thank you, Niloufer.
Good night, guys.
Thank you.
Thanks, guys.